Okay, so for this explainer, we're throwing it way back, like 2,400 years back to ancient Greece, to unpack one of the most intense plays ever written, Euripides' Hippolytus. Now, this isn't just some dusty old script. It's an absolutely gripping story about passion, piety, and what happens when mortals, like you and me, get caught in the middle of a divine grudge match. And the play kicks off with this absolutely chilling line from none other than Aphrodite, the goddess of love. So, there's no slow burn here. We don't build up to the conflict. It starts with a direct threat, right out of the gate. A seriously powerful, totally scorned goddess just straight up promises to destroy a mortal who dared to disrespect her. And just like that, the stage is set for this epic, tragic collision between the heavens and earth. So this brings us to our first section, a war of the gods. This is all about the divine conflict that sets everything in motion. See, even though the whole story takes place in the city of Trojan, the real drama, the real fight, actually starts up on Mount Olympus. And this bitter feud between two goddesses, it's about to spill over into our world and seal the fate of one very, very unlucky prince. And that prince, of course, is Hippolytus. Now, to really get who this guy is, you have to understand a key idea from pretty much all Greek tragedy, and that word is hubris. We're not just talking about being a little proud. Hubris is this next-level, dangerous, totally blinding arrogance. And for Hippolytus, his hubris is all wrapped up in his piety. It's so extreme, it's almost aggressive, and you just know it's going to be his downfall. So what we have here is basically a divine showdown. The whole conflict really boils down to these two opposing forces. You've got Aphrodite on one side. She is all about love, passion, the messy stuff, and she demands respect from everyone. Period. Then on the other side, you have Artemis, the virgin goddess of the hunt, who stands for purity and chastity. And our guy Hippolytus, he's all in on Team Artemis. He devotes himself completely to her, which, as you can imagine, is a massive, public slap in the face to Aphrodite. And if you want to see that arrogance in action, look no further. An old servant basically says, hey, maybe you should, pay some respect to Aphrodite's statue. And Hippolytus' response is this little gem. I greet her from afar. My life is clean. He literally just waves off the goddess of love. I mean, can you believe the nerve? In that single moment of pure hubris, he basically paints a giant bullseye on his own back. He has sealed his fate, and her revenge is now totally 100% inescapable. Okay, next section, a queen's deadly secret. Here's where the human drama really starts to unfold. And what's so clever and so cruel about Aphrodite's revenge is that it's indirect. She doesn't just zap Hippolytus with a lightning bolt. No, that would be too easy. Instead, she targets the heart of his family. She unleashes this awful curse on his stepmother, Queen Phaedra, and turns her into the weapon that's going to bring him down. So all of a sudden, the queen is just not okay. She's wasting away, she hasn't eaten in days, and weirder still, she's having these feverish daydreams, raving about wanting to go hunting in the mountains, which is, Hippolytus' whole world. Her nurse is going out of her mind with worry, but Phaedra just won't say what's wrong. And that's because it's not a normal sickness. It's a curse. It's this all-consuming, totally forbidden love for her own stepson planted in her heart by Aphrodite. And this right here is where human meddling just makes everything a million times worse. You have the nurse, who means well, but oh my gosh, is she foolish. First, she guilt-trips Phaedra, saying if she dies, her kids will lose their inheritance to Hippolytus. That works. Phaedra breaks down and confesses everything. But then the nurse comes up with a truly terrible, no good, very bad plan. She promises she has a cure and decides the best course of action is to just go tell Hippolytus everything. What could possibly go wrong? Well, the result is a total explosion. Hippolytus is disgusted. He's horrified. He just goes off on this epic rant against all women. But there's a catch. The nurse, before spilling the beans, made him swear an oath to keep it a secret. So now he's trapped. He's boiling with this righteous anger, but his own code of honor means he can't say a word. He tries to weasel out of it with his famous line basically saying, hey, my tongue swore the oath, but my soul didn't. It shows how torn up he is. But in the end, he keeps his promise. He stays silent. And with that, we've hit the point of no return, the climax. The secret is out, and one single, desperate act of revenge is about to lock in everyone's tragic fate. There's no coming back from this. For Phaedra, it's game over. Her deepest, darkest secret is now known to the one person who should never have known it. Her reputation is in tatters. Her honor is gone. She feels completely, utterly destroyed. And from her perspective, there is only one way out of this shame.
But she's not going down alone. Oh no. Fueled by this toxic cocktail of shame and pure rage at Hippolytus for rejecting her so violently, she makes one last terrible choice. She's going to end her life, for sure. But first, she's going to make damn sure she takes his reputation and his life right down with her.
And it happens fast. It's swift, it's brutal. She walks back into the palace, totally resolved. She scratches out a final message, a devastating lie, onto a tablet, and then she hangs herself, making sure to leave that tablet clutched in her dead hand for her husband to find. So now we move into the falling action, a father's blind rage, where the curse is finally unleashed. The trap has been laid. And just as King Theseus, Hippolytus' father, walks through the door, he has no idea he's about to step into an absolute nightmare, a nightmare that's going to trigger his own tragic downfall. He walks in, and he finds his wife dead. And there, in her hand, is the tablet. He reads it, and his entire world just implodes. The note, Phaedra's final act of vengeance, is a lie that accuses his own son, Hippolytus, of assaulting her. Now, you gotta remember something crucial about Theseus. His father, the sea god Poseidon, had granted him 3 wishes. Think of them like divine get-out-of-jail-free cards, or, in this case, curses. 3 prayers that would be answered, no questions asked. And in this moment, completely blinded by grief and rage, believing every word of Phaedra's lie, Theseus cashes in his first one. He calls on Poseidon to kill his own son. What happens next is just this awful, gut-wrenching confrontation. Hippolytus is dragged in front of his father, and he really tries to defend himself. But remember that oath? He's still bound by it. He can't reveal the truth about Phaedra, so all he can do is stand there and say, "I'm innocent," but he can't explain why. And his father, who is just immovable in his rage, won't listen. He banishes him on the spot. All right, we've reached the catastrophe, the awful truth revealed. The curse has been uttered, the son has been exiled, and now we're about to see that curse fulfilled in the most brutal way you can imagine, bringing us to the play's absolutely devastating end. Just then, a messenger comes running in, completely horrified, and he tells this story. As Hippolytus was driving his chariot down the coast into exile, a giant, monstrous bull just erupted out of the sea. It was Poseidon's curse, made real. The horses went crazy, of course. They bolted, the chariot smashed into the rocks, and poor Hippolytus was dragged to his death. So who's to blame here? I mean, look at this. It's such a tangled mess. You could say Aphrodite's revenge is the main driver. For sure, it's the catalyst. But her plan only worked because of all the human screw-ups. Phaedra's vengeful lie, Theseus' uncontrollable rage, and yeah, even Hippolytus' own stubborn pride that kicked this whole thing off in the first place. And just when you think it can't get any worse, a goddess literally descends from the heavens. It's Artemis, Hippolytus' champion. It's a classic dea ex machina, a god from the machine, where a divine being just shows up to sort things out. And she lays the whole horrible truth out for everyone to see. She reveals Aphrodite's plot, Phaedra's curse, the nurse's terrible advice, and of course, Phaedra's final damning lie. And you can just imagine King Theseus absolutely shattered as he realizes the magnitude of his mistake. Then the mortally wounded Hippolytus is carried back for one last, just gut-wrenching scene. He is in absolute agony, but as he's dying there in his father's arms, he does something truly incredible. He forgives him. He frees his father from the guilt, telling him he's absolved of his murder. With his last breath, he forgives the man who killed him. It's this moment of incredible grace that just proves what a noble character he truly was. Which brings us back to the big question, the one that haunts you after the story is over. In a world where you have petty, vengeful gods and deeply flawed human beings, who is really to blame? Is it all on Aphrodite for her cruel little game? Or was it the domino effect of very human failings, pride, fear, bad judgment, and blinding rage? The play doesn't hand you an easy answer. It just leaves you to think about that terrifying place where divine power and human weakness collide, with absolutely tragic and unforgettable consequences.